I do not.
Beat the clock.
All right, I'd like to call to order the Rules, Enactments, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Please note that the meeting is being live streamed on the website. I'd like to ask everyone to please silence your cell phones, tablets, and all other electronic devices, and just also be mindful that the microphones are very sensitive, so keep the side chatter to a minimum. This time, I'd like to ask everyone to rise and join us for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Lorraine, we have roll call, please.
Absolutely. Amo,
Here.
Fagion, Cheney,
Here.
Hines.
Here.
Saganga, Paduk,
Here.
Sierra, Riskevich.
Here. Okay, only agenda item, Alan Sorensen, Commissioner of Planning Department, request to accept and appropriate grant funds as a subcontractor to the Orange County Health Department for the Healthy Orange Schools and Communities Program for the period of 6/1/22 to 5/31/23. Grant funds will be used to fund 30% of a community health coordinator position to be filled by one planner. The coordinator will work with municipal officials and selected communities to develop appropriate policies for the jurisdictions and work with those officials, community organizations, and members of the public to enact those policies. $75,000 is legislative request number 145. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
I'll move. Second.
Cheney and Hines. Okay, floor is yours, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is a program that the department has participated in for a number of years. Jessica Ridgway, who's one of the planners in our department, is assigned as the point person for this program. We're working the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities, we refer to it as the CHIS grant. Currently working with the Town of Deer Park, City of Fort Jervis, Mount Hope, Otisville, Middletown, Wallkill, New Windsor, Newburgh, Highlands, and Highland Falls. So those are the communities that are within this program's geographic area. And the goal of the program is to increase the number of municipalities that implement community planning and active transportation interventions to increase safe and accessible physical activity. So when we talk about active transportation, we're basically getting out, walking, biking, things of that nature. Through this program, the department has helped worked with municipalities to provide training to municipal officials. We've worked with a number of municipalities to provided models for complete streets legislation, as well as work with communities to get those policies and legislation adopted at the local level through our general municipal law reviews, where there are opportunities to, if a roadway or street is being redone or a new development is being proposed, we encourage the inclusion of sidewalks, things of that nature, to enhance the pedestrian access in areas that are served. And we also work very closely, not only with the health department, but also with Orange County DPW and Parks. We've coordinated the installation of 5 pedestrian crossings, as well as some steel bike racks throughout the county, and some fit stations along the Heritage Trail. So there's a lot of different aspects of this program. We find it to be well received in the communities that are being served, and helping us to further the county's complete streets policies.
Okay, any questions? Let's say your Cheney.
Is there a relationship with New York State Department of Transportation for their projects when they're doing repaving and intersection upgrades, maybe drainage work that would give you the opportunity to encourage them to meet some of these goals?
The answer is yes. Not necessarily specifically through this program, but where we've worked with municipalities to adopt constraint streets policies, where a state highway is going through that municipality. We will encourage and recommend the inclusion of those design elements that further complete streets. DOT, though, is increasingly receptive to those ideas. And so, where the opportunity arises, we will work with them to, further, those enhancements, especially along the state roadways.
Well, as an example, there's going to be a big project through the village of Warwick.
Yeah.
That it's on the state highway, so it's 94
Yes.
and then 17A towards Greenwood Lake.
Yeah.
And they've been very cooperative in working with the village, but, they have, we asked for some bike lanes and they
Okay.
basically said no. And so we felt we had to accept that. I didn't
Okay.
realize that possibly coming to the planning department could help us advocate stronger.
We can certainly help in that endeavor. So yes, I'm familiar with the intersection that they're proposing work on
Colonial Avenue.
Colonial Ave.
Yes.
But the village should, reach out to us, and then we can also circle back with DOT to see, there may be some challenges that they have to overcome, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be pursued.
Right.
Because if we can provide safe alternatives for people to get out of their vehicle, it's going to reduce traffic congestion. It's lead to a more healthier community. So we want to encourage that every chance that we can.
I mean, they're doing a lot and they've been, as I said, very cooperative in listening to what the village felt its needs were relative to the project. So I guess it's just maybe having another voice in the room that might lend to further discussion and maybe change thinking.
Okay, yeah, no, I'd be happy to be part of that discussion. And it's something we're very passionate about is, enhancing those opportunities for bicycle pedestrian connections. And counties, led the effort with the Heritage Trail and now the Scunamo Trail. And, if we can then expand that network throughout the municipalities, that they really have something that is a viable alternative for transportation.
Well, I'll be in touch
Okay.
to talk about some of the specifics. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay. Legislator Hines.
How are the communities selected? It says here they'll work with selected communities. How did you pick those communities, or did they pick themselves? How did that work?
Part of it is the eligibility criteria for the grant application. So we're trying to, the program is really trying to encourage those underserved communities to, increase the opportunities for people to get out and walk and lead a more healthier lifestyle and feel safe while they're doing it. So that's a big part of it. So that's why you see, the cities are covered by the program and the towns around it. Whether or not we can expand that service area, I think it's going to depend on the funding source, but, we'll keep those opportunities open. Keep our eye for those opportunities as we move forward.
So who selected the communities?
This was selected by, in developing the grant application. So it was planning with the Department of Health. And it's based though on eligibility criteria. So we only could go to those communities that were eligible.
So they had to touch a city? Is that the rule? Or?
It's not necessarily a city. It had to do with census tracts and poverty, those type of areas.
Okay. Legislator Amo.
It's done, and I'm going to support it. I really wish we could look a little bit at my communities, Thurston and Plumtree. I mean, the 36,000 people, they're almost bigger than some of the cities we have.
Sure.
And the city themselves, and if there's one thing we try to do is, I try a lot, is to get them to get out. encourage them all the time to walk on the park, not on the Heritage Trail. And
Yeah,
you start seeing that more and more and more, but they really need, if they do, I don't know if it work, but I just encourage them as you go.
Okay.
And another program you can have here. Because I think a lot of us are trying to do that. And help them.
yeah, we do. Beyond this program, we have a template of complete streets policies that we're trying to get municipalities to adopt. So that would go, well beyond the communities that, Yeah. but we will certainly explore that.
Okay, other questions?
Yeah, I can't be left out. It said the coordinator will work with the municipal officials and select the community, develop appropriate policies for their jurisdiction, and work with those officials, community organizations, and members of the public to enact those policies. How do they do that? They just go to the town board meeting and ask people to get involved? What is their job description when they do that? How do they make that happen?
Well, one good example would be the city of Newburgh. So the city of Newburgh has,
Let's use the town of Walker, because that's.
okay. Okay, so with the town of Wallkill, they have designated people to work with our coordinator to implement the complete streets policies. So it would be,
I mean, from what office though? I'm just trying to focus on how they.
that's the planning
No,
department.
not your office. I mean, when you work with the planning department at the town? Who are you working with at the town? Not the local officials or?
No, it would be the local officials. So they have appointed liaisons to work with the planning department. And then we work with those members. We have a complete streets working group, and so that's how the policies are getting implemented. It's a little more formal in Newburgh in that they have a transportation advisory council that the city has appointed. So there we work directly with that transportation advisory council.
Okay, but do you have all separate meetings with these, or do you try to get, when you're working with the town of Walker person, do you try to get some different groups in the community to meet at the same time for their suggestions, or is it just haphazardly if they get told about it, or if they show up?
No,
How is it organized so that all that takes place?
there are, we have a regularly scheduled meeting, a monthly meeting, where these issues are discussed, and each municipality also has, like with Newburgh, the committee that regularly meets as well. So we coordinate on projects and then work together to implement those.
You said projects, what kind of?
Well, recent example, through the CHIPS program, we had some funding where we could buy those little rubber markers that you put up for pedestrian crossings, just to alert people. So we were able to purchase those and then distribute those to City of Middletown, as well as Newburgh and other involved, Port Jervis, so that they could get those out there. We've done some projects in Newburgh where it's just a matter of striping an intersection to make it safer to cross, so that in that case, it's working with the city officials and the planners and Jason Morris over in Newburgh to identify what the specifications should be, and then we help provide materials and outreach. So those would be some examples.
All right, so the school and community materials, it says $19,000. That's about, that money is used for all that kind of stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah, in some case, we work with we work with local law enforcement to with safety efforts. So they'll hold some events to educate children about safe use of the bicycle. And during those events, we have some. We don't have a bunch of them, but we have helmets that can be given to children. There's some bracelets that reflect, things like that, that are distributed.
Do you go to Night Out Against Crime in a lot of communities? That's where you're gonna get most of the people.
I can't speak to whether we've been to that event or not, but it's something I can take back.
You should, because that's where you'll get a lot of people at once.
Okay.
You good?
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All right, hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
All right. Thank you for the
And
support.
with that, the rest is clear. I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All right.
We would have beat the, with the,